Okay, I think I'll start with my introduction. So, how's everyone doing? Welcome. Welcome to this is the 7th workshop of the National Business Plan Competition. So this is let me just pause the music. This is a multi-series of educational workshop. We'll be running along with this massive competition that College Leap is running. And just let me introduce a little bit more about College Leap in case you haven't heard enough about it. It is a national nonprofit organization that aims to empower community college students, especially international students across the country. So we establish chapters on various different college campuses, provide leadership and internship opportunities there. So this is the National Business Plan Competition. It's just the very first one of our national event series. Our transfer student panel series will be coming up in October. So the first of the series is on UC Berkeley, and it is happening on October 3rd. Following is a UCLA panel on October 10th. We'll be covering all of the UC schools in the month of October and November. You can find a lot more information about those dates and all of our events on our website at collegeleap.cc. You can also apply to be a chapter leader at the College Leap chapters in your college, or you can start a College Leap chapter at your college. If you're interested, you can go to the website and find out more about the application process. Okay, so back to NBPC. If you haven't registered already, please register on the College Leap website. If you can always go to the open session as well if there's not a College Leap chapter at your college. Okay, so finally, Bill and I will be answering any questions you may have about the competition in the chat box. And if you have any questions outside of this time, you can always contact your local organizer of this event or email us at team@collegeleap.cc. So that's it from me. So let me just introduce our speaker today. Thomas Xu, and I'll give all the time to you.
All right, great. Let me turn on my camera then. Hi guys. It is kind of weird that I can't see people, but it's all good. So a bit about myself. I'm currently I'm currently a sophomore at UC Berkeley, and then I'm part of this organization called Decode, and I'm one of their student lecturers. So which is why I'm here with you guys today. Let me start the screen share real quick. Let's see. Can everyone see this? Because I have no idea what's going on. Oh, good, great. Awesome. So a little bit about today's agenda. So I'll be talking about, I'll go over a bit of our organization real quick, and after that would be the topic of MVP, and then at the end there will be a Q&A session. But feel free to jump in, raise your hand or whatever, and ask questions whenever you have it. Let's see. So a little bit more about Decode. So our goal is to build a community of young, ambitious entrepreneurs, especially in the Bay Area. So before that, we were called the Berkeley Stanford China Forum as a student organization. But then after a while, we realized that over 50% of our audience were actually young professionals. So we then rebranded into this Decode brand, targeting more young professionals around the Bay Area and all over the world. Within Decode, we provide one of the largest annual tech and entrepreneurship forum in the Bay Area, inviting a bunch of great speakers. And then other than that, we do a class at UC Berkeley called Decode Silicon Valley Success, Startup Success. So here are some of our speakers. She was the president for investment management at Bank of America. Steve Jurvetson, one of the investors that saved Tesla from bankruptcy. And as a side story, Elon Musk actually gave him the first Model 3, Tesla Model 3 to him as a gift. Michael Siebel, CEO at Y Combinator, one of the founders at Twitch, and right now the board member at Reddit. He was actually in our class just earlier this Monday. And then Julie, she was the vice president of product design at Facebook for almost a decade. And then she's also the author for The Making of a Manager. I'm pretty sure some of you have heard of it. And then Eric, the CEO and founder of Zoom. Yeah. So let's see next. So here's a picture from 2 years ago in Poly Ballroom, the most expensive conference room at Berkeley. We booked it and then had a wonderful event. This was last year at the Computer Science History Museum, right next to Facebook. That's Michael Siebel talking on stage. And then just earlier last month, we had our pre-launch event we invited Steve Jurvetson back again as a keynote speaker, and then he actually retweeted our post about the event. So we're still doing the events this year virtually, and it's happening around late October. So stay tuned for that. I will probably type in the link in the chat at some point today. You guys, if you're really interested in entrepreneurship and stuff, you should seriously check it out. We have a bunch of videos from past speakers on our Facebook, on website, or even YouTube page. Just feel free to check it out. Yeah, is there any questions before I move on? Let's see. I don't actually. Yeah, the full name is Decode Tech and Innovation, but we just call it Decode for short. Okay, I don't see anything, so okay, I'll move on then. So today's topic is going to be about MVP and product iteration. Yep. So let's do a quick recap, because I know some of you guys had other workshop before this. So we're gonna cover this part of the startup journey, basically. So it's right after coming up with the idea and before reaching product market fit. So a little bit more about the graph. Before you identify the problem and the solution to solve the problem, anything else, marketing, whatever, culture is just bullshit. Because nothing matters until you actually have an idea and have a prototype. And then here would be the product market fit. 99% of the companies never get to this point. So it's very important. And after that, once you reach product market fit, you just, you know, start scaling growth, you know, running ads and stuff like that. So we will focus on this part, just this part today. Let's see, next. Okay, so what is a MVP? By definition, it's a version of a product with just enough features to satisfy early customers and provide feedback for future product development. That's a mouthful. So in another word, it's the simplest thing you can give to the very first set of users to play with and to test your assumptions. So it's basically like a prototype. It's something that, you know, allows you to get feedbacks from other people and then to test your assumption about the potential market. Next. So here are two pictures. I would say on the left, this one, a rough sketch, would be an MVP. And the one on the right is more like a finalized product. So, you know, it's rough, it's quick, but it gets your point across, and people can, you know, give you feedbacks and, you know, oh, I like this room, I like that room, I don't like this angle, whatever. You know, you get, you know, you get feedbacks quickly. So that would be MVP. The other one is not. Okay, let's see. So in the case, let me just give you two examples. So in the case of Zappos, hopefully you guys know what that is. The founder actually went to the physical store, like a Foot Locker or something, took a bunch of pictures of the shoes and posted them on the landing page, just a sketchy landing page. And anytime an order was placed, Nick, the founder, will actually run to the shoe store, buy the item, and then ship it out to the customer. So just by doing that, he proved that people were actually willing to buy shoes online. And keep in mind that this was like back in the, you know, 10, 20 years ago, where like buying stuff online, especially shoes, is like relatively a new idea. Just by doing that, he was able to sell tons of shoes with zero inventory. And eventually, as one of the earliest website that you know started selling shoes, Amazon bought it in 2009 for $1.2 billion. So it was really impressive. And then the picture on the right would be Airbnb. It was called Airbed and Breakfast at the time. And this was basically their only website. There's not much going on, as you can see. And at the time, there's no payment processor on the website. There's no map view. And the web designer was actually a part-time worker. So back then, if you wanna, let's see, let me open the chat real quick. What is MVP? Hopefully I answered that question. Keep in mind that in Airbnb's case, back then, if you are, you know, only a few people were willing to do this, but like if you were willing to book a room and then stay in an Airbnb house, you will have to physically meet the host face to face, exchange money on the street, get the key, and then check in, right? So this was very sketchy, but then, you know, surprisingly, some people were actually willing to do it. Yeah, so let's move on. So this is another example. Yes, it really does. It's, you know, it's super rough. It does not look good, but it gets the job done, right? So these two cereal boxes, it's another story about Airbnb. back in the days, before they figured out the actual product that, as we know it today, the Airbnb founders launched a bunch of different MVPs, including these two cereal boxes. So at the time, they were seriously in debt, and the founders applied for all the credit cards they were able to get, and then still didn't have enough money to keep the business afloat. So to raise money, they saw the opportunity in the Democratic and Republican convention happening in SF at the time. And then they came up with the idea to sell exclusive boxes of cereals to people attending the convention at the time for $50 a box, something around that price. And then they literally went to the grocery shops, bought about 1,000 boxes of cereals and put them in packages, glued them together with a new label, and then posted on eBay. They put all the money they raised back into the business after the conventions, and realized that they still need money. So ended up they had to eat the leftover cereals for a while. And the founder, Brian Chesky, started calling themselves as the serial entrepreneur after that. So that was an interesting side story. Moving on, here's a quote from Reid Hoffman, the founder of LinkedIn, and also one of the members of the PayPal Mafia. If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. So a lot of people think that launching a product is like a once a lifetime event, but actually it's not. You can launch multiple products multiple times on multiple occasions until you get to the right one. So don't see it as as wow, it's amazing, I've launched this. Everyone can get pressed, everyone can get on Crunchbase or something like that. But until you actually get to the right product, none of this actually matters. Before I move on, is there any questions? Let me check let me check. Yes. Other, a lot of product. I will cover this later today. But having an MVP or launching different MVPs is more like a process, but not not a singular product in a sense. So let's see, I think it's the next slide. Okay, yeah, sure. So again, we're talking about this stage right here. And then the line looks relatively flat, but it's actually not that simple. It's not, not every website works right away, right? So to answer your question, MVP is not a product. It's more like a process. So for the graph on the right, there are two lines. The straight one is your expectation, and the curvy one is the reality. And the gap between these two lines is actually called the valley of disappointment. And within the valley of disappointment, which is the graph on the left, you start with an idea, right? And then at some point you have this first prototype, and then you show it to your mom, and she's probably gonna be like, oh, it's awesome, like it's great, I'm so proud of you, and you just think you're the shit, and your product is gonna take off, right? But actually it's not, because once you start talking to your friends and whatever, some of them are probably gonna be like, oh dude, this sucks, it's not that good. And you're like, oh crap, okay, let me go back, fix it, launch it again. And then on and on and on. At some point, your product, you want to get make your product so good, that so much better than any existing solutions, that strangers, the real customers, tell their friends about it, right? So this process is basically you launch, you get feedbacks, you let a couple people try it, initially your parents, your friends, your sister, your siblings, and then after a while maybe people on your campus, and then after that it's like anyone on the website, right? And then you iterate, and then you launch it back again, and then get feedbacks, improve some of the stuff, and then launch it back again until you have a couple proofs saying that people actually love it. Okay, let's see. No questions so far. Great. Awesome. So in the process, things don't always go your way, right? A lot of, I would say most of the startups, will end up like this. Elon Musk with his, one of his rockets. But it's okay, just like Elon Musk himself, you go back, you fix the problem, and then, you launch your rocket again, right? And then if you get lucky enough, at some point you will end up like this picture right here. This is the initial team for the company called Stripe. Hopefully you guys have heard about it. It's one of the credit card companies that do provide credit cards specifically for startup founders. And at this point, when the picture was taken, they were growing so fast that they had to move in a new office space, just to catch up with the growth rate. So this is something you want eventually. You don't just aim for a big launch, right away, but like you just keep working, keep grinding, and at some point you will end up, have to move to a bigger office. So I talked a lot about feedbacks. Speaking of feedbacks, one thing you should never do is that you should never ask your users for features. Assuming you're making an app, but like it applies to other products too. Because it's not the user's job to come up with features, it's your job. And their job is just to give you problems, right? The customers probably, in most cases, they have no idea of how to solve the problems. So they're most likely to just gonna give you a list of a bunch, random things that they think can solve the problem. And rather than that, you should just ask questions like, how often do they experience the problem? How intense it is? Are they willing to pay for a solution? Do they know any other people with the same issue? If they say they wish there's this one additional feature, you then will need to dig a bit deeper and ask, why do you want to be able to do that? Again, back to the source of the problem and figure out what the real issue is, instead of just adding a bunch of random features in your MVP. So next, a quote from Michael Siebel. He said, "Hold the problem you are solving tightly, hold the customer tightly, and hold the solution you are building loosely." What does that mean? A lot of people think that getting feedbacks from for an initial product is useless because the product is shitty, right? But the reality is that maybe what you want to build this whole time is just not what the customers want. The awesome product you have in mind might not actually solve the problem. So your fantasy should be very flexible. Because you rather find that out early than find that out late when you put in a bunch of money into whatever you're building. So two more. Yep. So to give you more examples, Michael Siebel talked about how all founders fall in love with the MVP, with their MVPs. And so if the MVP doesn't work for the target users, the founders start wondering what other problems this thing can solve, right? So let's say the product is a screwdriver. And if the screwdriver is not screwing anything, the founders will be like, maybe people can use it to cook. Maybe people can use it to wash dishes. And it just doesn't work, because the problem, the founders are trying to solve is that people need to screw something in, right? And if the screwdriver doesn't help with that problem, then what you should really do is that you should keep the target users, keep the problems, and fix the shitty screwdriver. Simple as that. And another example would be another example would be when I was little, I used to play with Legos, right? And I have this awesome Lego Terminator thing in my mind, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be great, and then it's gonna dominate other Lego characters. And my sister would come in and just break it apart, and I would be like, why would you do that? It was awesome. And turned out the Terminator I built was too ugly that she thought it's just some random leftover pieces that nobody cares about. So if my target user is my sister, I'm not gonna blame her for not being artistic enough to appreciate my work. Like if she says ugly and she doesn't understand it, okay, all right, let me go back, let me fix it, and let me present a much better product. So that was basically that was the basic concept of don't fall in love with your MVP. Before I move on, is there any questions? Okay, great. Awesome. Let's move on. Do the things, don't scale. Another quote from a YC partner, Paul Graham. He was actually the founder at YC. So back to the Airbnb story. When the Airbnb founders started working at YC, they had dinner. Right? They had a dinner with Paul Graham at the time, and then Brian Chesky was like, and Paul Graham asked Brian Chesky, "Where are your users?" And Brian Chesky was like, there are some here in SF, there's some, in LA and whatnot, but mostly my users are in New York, right? And then PG then asked, why are you here in Mountain View then? And Brian Chesky said, what do you mean? What? Because I'm in YC, I kind of have to be here, right? And then Paul Graham was like, your users are in New York, go to them. Do the things that don't scale. And it was super weird to Brian Chesky because it doesn't make sense, right? It's not scalable. And then Paul Graham said, that is exactly why you gotta do it now before your business take off, if it's gonna take off. This is your perfect opportunity to get to know your users and improve your product. So Brian Chesky actually took the advice, and then him and two other co-founders actually bought the tickets and flew to New York City. And then they started visiting this Airbnb, a bunch of different Airbnb hosts, saying that they're just professional photographers, trying to take some pictures of the property to help promote the listing, right? So while they were taking pictures, they actually sat down and talked to the host while they were there, and sometimes even lived in the Airbnb houses as guests. So by doing that, they personally experienced everything as a user, and then eventually developed this idea of 7-star Airbnb experience. So it's better than a 5-star hotel, and then some, right? So in one of those occasions, one of their users told them that he decided to rent out the entire house to other people, and Brian Chesky and them was like, that is kind of weird. Why would you do that? Are you seriously willing to rent out the entire property to a stranger, right? And because this was something that's never been done before, and the Airbnb founders actually had a debate about whether someone should be able to list the entire property. And their main argument at the time was that if the host is not even in the home, how do you serve people cereal in the next morning? So it was kind of funny looking back, but this then became the most popular option when we think of Airbnb. So doing the dirty work early and get to know your users and products, it's extremely important if you are trying to understand and improve what you're trying to do. Is there any questions? Let's see. No? Okay. So I'm about to wrap it up real soon here. So here's a video that I think illustrate the idea of an MVP pretty well. So hopefully I'm able to get it to play.
On the first day of school, you'll need a place.
Can everyone hear and see it? Just making sure. Okay, great. Let me play it then.
To put your pencils. So today we're going to make pencil holders. Now everyone take a cup and we'll use the art supplies to decorate them. Hi. Hello, I'm Forky. Nice to meet you. Well, hello, Forky. It's nice to meet you. I'm Miss Forky.
Yeah. So I just think that it was a really good example of, what MVP should be. Because initially, you don't have any resources. You gotta be scrappy, right? And especially for software products, you don't need that much money. You just get an engineer, and then you tell them the concept, and then you put together an app or a website or whatnot, right? So if you don't remember anything about this workshop, just remember this character Forky, and think about how the concepts of MVP play into this. So to conclude, MVP is something fast, is something simple, or even sketchy, rough, however you say it. But it gets your point across the board, and then it allows you to test the market in early stages. And it is very important as the foundation for future development. So with that, this is our Facebook page, and we also have our website on there, and a bunch of videos. So feel free to check it out. We will post updates about our upcoming event in October. And the price, the ticket is super cheap for students. So, feel free to check it out. And I will take any questions at this point. I don't see any questions. Let's see. What was my experience with MVP and starting a business, product, service? So I actually started my own nonprofit organization back in high school. The idea was to bring in minority students from low-income families and stuff, student athletes from the United States to China to host a week-long summer basketball camp. And what I was trying to do is to bridge the cultural gap, and then also to advocate for the sense of diversity at the time. So for me, I couldn't, there's, the MVP would be weird, right? Because there's not something I can actually show people. It's more of a concept. So my MVP at the time was just a, PowerPoint presentation for people. And the whole point of that was just to, get people to understand what I'm trying to do, and to prove that, it's doable and it's meaningful. So, I was able to convince a bunch of people to sponsor us, to give us enough money to buy the flight tickets, and then to apply for their visa and their passport. And I was able to host the event for 3 years straight. So it was pretty fun. And I hope that answered your question. Let's see. So the website, in case you missed it, let's see. It's for the organization that I'm in right now. It's called Decal Tech and Innovation, and we host one of the largest tech and entrepreneurship conference in the Bay Area. And this was our pre-launch event, and the annual event is coming up in October. We will post the updates on the website, and then also there are links in the website to different YouTube videos of our past speakers. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out. Let me see. So what kind of projects that I'm working on right now? So I recently got into a podcast. So I'm actually trying to launch my own my own podcast. And then, with that, my thought is to inform our fellow college students that, with the podcast, I will talk to successful Berkeley alumni, or like people that have gotten a good job or like at a big firm before and stuff like that, to inspire people that are just got into college or just starting to look for different jobs, and I hopefully I'm able to do that with the podcast. And other than that, I guess I'm helping with Decode too, because we're actually transitioning from a student organization into a legit company. So we're registering and stuff like that. Hopefully that answered your question. How did I get sponsored? So it was all about connections, I guess. So I literally went to different, just knock on their doors and then be like, I have this new thing. It would be beneficial for your brand, because like, so a bit backstory. So the camp that I hosted was at a rural area in China. So then, a place where, there's not many diversity. People have never seen a foreigner before, other than on TV or movies. So then, like, if you're some type of local brand, if you're the company owner, right, it would be beneficial for you, because it's great exposure, and for foreigners to come into this rural town, we're definitely going to be on TV, on newsletters and whatnot, and it's like the best billboard you can ever ask for. So I talked to local business owners, and then even charity funds, to get as much money as possible. So ended up, some sponsors just provided water for the basketball camp. That's it. And some others provided basketball and stuff like that. But then the big ones, the charity funds, actually, they covered the tickets for about 10 of us. So it was, I would say I got lucky, but that's basically how I got it. So if we're making it into a conference, so there are two tracks, right? One, as a company, there are two tracks. One would be the annual conference. We can charge tickets. We can charge for sponsorships, for advertisement and stuff like that. And also it's like brand awareness, right? And then on the other track is that we're actually launching this thing called Decal Academy. So by doing that, we will not be limited by just Berkeley, the Berkeley ecosystem. It would be like a global, just think about Khan Academy, right? So those are the two different tracks. And with the Decal Academy, we can charge money for lessons. We can, do whatever, pivot from there, right? So I guess, so for the academy, the model would be Khan Academy, and then for the for the conference, the model would be Panel Daily or Recode. There's actually another organization called Recode, and it's actually pretty big. So look it up, and then they make a lot of money hosting conference and stuff. Yeah, I am a F1 student, and sometimes I'm actually not sure about the exact rules, but sometimes if people sponsor, just provide material type of thing, support, they don't really care about that. And then some other times, because my high school was like a religious high school, so we applied for like a religious mission type of money, just just to get a couple $100 to cover the little things. So I wasn't really sure about that, and as a high school student, I didn't know much about it either, right? So I just I was scrappy, and I just tried to get and any money I can. So I haven't launched my podcast yet because we're trying to group it into different seasons. So for podcasts, it's not like I just record it and I air it, right? There you actually spend a lot of time to cut it, to edit it, and stuff like that. So I'm not sure what the timeline usually would be, because another thing that comes into play is that well, I want to talk to the successful people, right? And sometimes it's kind of hard to reach out to them and then actually to schedule a time, sit down and talk about stuff. So there's a lot of variables going into this, which is why I haven't launched it yet. Yeah. Let's see, is there any other questions? What social media? Let's see. I will say Facebook probably, because we set up Facebook events for some of our Berkeley classes that you can audit. And then we set up events for the conference, obviously. And then the thing about Facebook is that you can post a bunch different links. So, if you want to watch videos, you go to the Facebook website, you click the YouTube link, and then you're in our YouTube channel. And if you like Instagram, you go to the Facebook, and then you click the Instagram tag, and then you're in Instagram. So I would say Facebook would be the one to look out for. What will be the name of my podcast? So I've been thinking about it, but I was coming up. I just know that I want to do with something Tommy Boy, something funny, right? Because it's a podcast mostly targeted for college students, and I want it to be fun and relatable. So if I have to name my podcast at this point, I would be like Tommy Boy something. So it's still work in progress. Okay. Is there any other question? Oh, so another one. I thought I answered that. But I guess the business model, I don't know what the business model would be called, but it will basically profit from advertisement for the brand awareness and for sponsorships, and also the tickets we charge, when people are coming into the conference. And then for the Decode Academy, it will be, it's basically like a YC, right? If you can't attend the class at the academy physically in the Bay Area, you will then go to the website. It could either be like a free YouTube type of thing, or it can be like a charged subscription-based master class type of thing. So there's a lot of way to monetize this. It just depends on what we feel the most comfortable would be. So it's still work in progress. My major is cognitive science. It's a lot of people haven't heard of it. heard of it, but it's basically the intersection of psychology, neuroscience, computer science, philosophy, and biology. And then, the track that I'm choosing is artificial intelligence and AI, artificial intelligence and machine learning. So a bit like what they do at OpenAI. So that is my major basically. Any advice you would give when launching your business? Pursue your nonprofit. Advice launching my business. I guess it's just go do it. Go out and do it. Because initially when I came up with the idea, I told my dad and the principal at my high school. And then all of them were like, oh, cool, that sounds great. And there's no follow-up. They were not convinced that they wanted to help me. So what I did is like, okay, you don't care, that's fine, but I care, right? So I started talking to recruit some of my friends to build to get the PowerPoint set up and to come up with some sort of agenda for the camp to make it look as doable as possible, right? So I would say in the early stage, especially if you're trying to convince someone to vibe with your idea, it's all about presentation and telling the story behind it, on like what's the problem here, what are the solutions you want, and why are you the one out of everyone that can actually solve the problem. Right. So for me, it's like, okay, I came from China, right? And then I'm in this, city of St. Louis, where, racism is part of the conversation every single day. My high school was 10 minutes away from the shooting of Michael Brown in 2015. One of the earliest, at least the ones that, on the news of white policemen shooting African American. So it was extremely relatable, and I was on the basketball team, so I knew all the people, and I knew their struggle day in and day out. So I guess that was my advantage there, and just based on that, I can tell a lot of story to convince people to either join the team or become a sponsor or just follow us on social media. Hello. I don't have any programming background, but good thing I'm at Berkeley, right? The computer science program is very intense. Not gonna lie. And I actually have this question in my mind for a very long time, and then so I started attending different panels and watch different videos and then ask successful tech founders about it, and then they were like, it actually doesn't matter, because most of the skills are transferable from one space into another. So if you're starting out, compared to a 100% engineer, right? I would be more social, more know how to interact with people and know how to convince to get someone on the board. So just find your advantages one way or another, and then really shine through that in different conversations or whatever you're trying to do. And as an example, for Michael Siebo's case, he was actually a poli-sci major at Yale. And if you think about it, the company he founded is Twitch. I think it's very tech heavy, because you got to build a website, you got to figure out how the video is gonna play and this and that. But somehow he was one of the most influential people in the company, right? So it really doesn't matter. And what from his words, he said that other than coding and stuff, there are actually a bunch of different things that you can do as a non-technical founder or as a non-technical member of the team. So if you want to learn stuff, go to there are a lot of free resources online where you can take classes and take projects and stuff. On the top of my mind would be Coursera. I'm pretty sure they have programming classes from Harvard or whatnot, and especially and also like just for Berkeley, you can actually look up Berkeley Data 8 or CS61A, and to go to the website, and there are actually a bunch of videos and projects that you can do without actually enrolling in class. And that's actually what I did last year. I finished the entire Data 8 course programming without actually enrolling in class. So then when I actually sign up for the class, I just turn in everything I did during the summer and be done with the class in the first 2 months. So there are a lot of ways to do it if you really try. Important, I would say the ability to tell a good story would be one. And then the other one is just to not give a shit. Because, a lot of ideas initially sounded crazy. For Airbnb, even the founder of LinkedIn, Reid Hoffman, he said, who are the freaks on both sides? so that just tells you, in the early days, the great ideas usually sound stupid. And for Elon Musk, why would you do hardware? Hardware is called hardware for a reason, because it's hard, right? And rockets, the guy is not even a rocket scientist, right? And also for Uber, you 20 years ago, 10 years ago even, you wouldn't think you would, ride with some type of stranger in his personal car, right? You would just go take a taxi. So it's it's okay to sound stupid, and good ideas usually sound stupid because most people have a hard time adapting to the new concept. So I would say that's another trait that that good entrepreneurs had. And besides that, I would say, well, elaborating on that, one of the great investors in the Silicon Valley, Peter Thiel, I actually have his book here, 0 to 1. In the book, he has this concept of competition is for losers. So just think about that. Let it sink in a little. Competition is for losers. Normally people don't say that, right? Like if you're the most competitive one, you're the best out of everyone, right? But his idea is that whatever you're building, you should aim to be so good compared to everyone else that you reach the escape velocity, meaning that nobody else is on the same competitive level as you. So you're not even in the competition. Think about the space of search engine. If when I say search engine, Google will probably be the first one that comes out for 80% of the case. That is complete domination. So that is what it's okay to have stupid ideas because competition is for losers. Yeah. Let's see. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. I don't see any questions. again, follow us on social media, and let's stay tuned for the upcoming event. Reach out to me personally. Yeah, sure. Let me type my email. Yep. You can see my email in the chat. Feel free to virtually chat since we can't do coffee chat at this point. But yeah, with that, I guess I would just hand it over to the College Leap representatives. Oh, I can't see the email. Why is that? He can't see the email. Let's see. Hold on, give me a sec. Here we go. Shoot. Yeah, that's my email right there.